All right, so this deck is the angriest walls you will ever see. This deck is built around and synergizes around the Defender mechanic. Now, I did not come up with this deck by any stretch of the imagination. I saw Jeff Hoogland playing it, and then I have played and adapted it very slightly myself. But for the most part, the idea of this deck is to play some extremely cheap defenders, which means they cannot attack, which usually have no power. Obviously, they are a wall, and they have really high toughness. But then your payoff for that is High Alert, Assault Formation, and Arcades the Strategist, because we are big brain magic tonight. This is actually some of the most linear nonsense you will ever see. But the goal is these three cards, Assault Formation, High Alert, and Arcades, basically say that we can hit people with our walls and deal damage equal to their toughness. So Historic happens to have a lot of really powerful walls, and we are going to see how well we can smack people in the face. This deck is definitely not tier 1, but it is delightful. It definitely has a place in my heart. We're going to be playing best of 1 ranked because we don't really have a sideboard for this deck, and we probably just get annihilated post-board. Best of 1 will give us a couple more creature-based decks that we may have an actual chance against, whereas best of 3 is just going to be an endless hellscape of Jund sacrifice. So we don't want anything to do with that. Now here, we're going up against the Strawfish, and let's see. They've got Lurrus of the Dream Den, so they're probably on Rakdos Arcanist, most likely. Now, that doesn't affect our strategy too much because we don't really have reactive cards. It might affect our mulligan a tiny bit. We have 2 lands that enter the battlefield tapped, which isn't great. However, we do also have 3 defenders, our payoff, all 3 colors of mana, and the card that lets us punk people out of the game, which is a tempting hand to keep. We're going first, which means it's not as big a deal that our mana comes in tapped. So we get to go Glacial Fortress, turn 2, Resolute Watchdog, turn 3, Resolute Watchdog, potentially, if we don't draw another land. We do need to draw a 3rd untapped land to make this hand great. I think that's worth it, though. It's worth playing. This is a pretty good combination of our cards, so we're going to give it a go. To be sure. We're going to play the Sun Petal Grove here in case we draw a Saheeli Grove Tender, our 1 mana card that generates mana. It's a little more valuable for us to have the green in play than the blue off the Glacial Fortress. The blue can wait, so we play the green tap land here. Oh, Self the Savior. Our opponent is on blue-white auras, which that might actually be worse for us. I don't know. That might be worse for us. All right. As blue-white auras is going to gain life, which is this trouble here. I don't like that. I don't like my opponent gaining life when I'm trying to hit them in the face with walls. But we're going to play our Resolute Doggy Boy. We call it a day. We drew the Breeding Pool, which is actually really huge. So we get to play it tapped here. We're not going to shock it in. We're playing this tapped. Obviously, we didn't have a 2-mana play. Ooh, Hushbringer. Sure. Deal. You got it, mate. Hushbringer here to hose certain decks. Hushbringer's bold. It's very good against the Goblins deck. It's quite bad against a lot of other things. So this turn, we do actually have enough mana to play the Carven Caryatid, which is a little bit better for us than just deploying another Resolute Watchdog. The alternative is to immediately play High Alert and start hitting them in the face with our Resolute Watchdog. That's a possibility, so let's think about it. What do we want to do here? We're definitely playing the Glacial Fortress is happening 100% of the time, so let's play the Glacial Fortress. It's out of our hands. It's literally out of our hands. From this point onward, we could play the Caryatid, which would develop another defender, which draws us a card, which is pretty good. And that would mean next turn we get to go High Alert and swing with Tower Defense, potentially for lethal. Would it be lethal? It'd be 18 damage, so not quite lethal. I think it is worth developing the Caryatid. That's probably the better play than... And at this point, the opponent definitely knows what our plan is. Ooh, my God! No! Oh, no! No! We've been boozled! We've been rused! More accurately, we've been hushed. All right, so I think here we're just dead. Yeah, Hushbringer's just about to body us here. Basically, our only hope at this juncture is to ambush this Hushbringer by getting our High Alert into play and then tower defensing to eat it with the Caryatid. It's basically our game plan now. There's also the possibility if we draw another 1-drop, we might be able to punk them out. If I had remembered that the Hushbringer turns off this card draw, would I have played differently? Perhaps not. So here we get to go Sunpetal Groove, Resolute Watchdog, High Alert. And basically, we're just living on a prayer that they can't stack too many more auras on this to put the game out of reach. One of the very good things is that Tower Defense does let us group block this Hushbringer, so even if they make it much larger, we're still able to stop it. We're still able to hold the line. All right, Angelic Gift seems fine. 2-mana draw a card. Sure, you've got it. Sentinel's Eyes, sure. Sure, Selfless Savior, sure. All right, now part of the trouble here is with double Selfless Savior, we don't really have a way to kill it because they are just going to give it indestructible, aren't they? This card basically makes it impossible for us to win. I don't think we have any card in our deck that makes it possible to win. I think we lose. We have lost. Is there any way we win? I don't think so. I think we just have to call it. Because essentially, if they attack with this and I cast Tower Defense, which would allow my units to gain reach up, and group block it to death, they would just sacrifice a Selfless Savior to give it indestructible, at which point we can no longer win. So we're just going to pack it up and call it a game. I imagine we have a really heinous matchup against what they're doing. Like their deck probably stomps us into the ground most of the time because we have no removal. And even if we had removal that game, it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because they had the Selfless Saviors. Their deck, however, is extremely bad against Jund Sacrifice and Rakdos Arcanist, which are the two best decks in the format. So I thought that their deck would basically be dead because in the Mythic Invitational we just had, and it's a 1-game sample size, right? But in the Mythic Invitational we just had, it was basically not won by Sacrifice, but it was won by Sacrifice. Like, Sacrifice made up the vast majority of the top 8. So I thought we'd be seeing a lot of Sacrifice, not a lot of that deck. All right, this hand is enticing because we do get to scry 1 on our first turn, and if we hit an untapped green source, that Overgrown Battlement's very good. But the fact that you have to realize that we not only have to scry a land on top, we have to scry an untapped green source for this hand not to be catastrophic, and that's just a bridge too far. It also wouldn't guarantee us any further draws. So we're definitely taking the mulligan here. We're going first, so we're still feeling pretty good. We have 2 tapped lands, which is pretty tragic. Alas, we have the Tetsuko Umezawa, which is pretty good. And Saheeli Caretaker. This hand will have to do. I think we bottom one of the Walls of Runes is a pretty easy choice here. Also notable that last game, had we drawn Tetsuko Umezawa and resolved her on turn 3 or 4, we may have had a chance in that game of punking them out with the Tower Defense because we would have been able to give our guys unblockable, which wasn't out we were playing towards, but didn't end up happening. Didn't break that way for us. Tetsuko Umezawa is really excellent in this deck because she makes all of our walls unblockable. Wah! As her ability registers prior to their power being equated to their toughness. Here, we kind of get to do it all, which is really delightful. Our opponent is on red, and they have really awesome card sleeves. I really like this. Job well done. So we're going to shock in this. We're going to throw out the Wall of Runes. Bam! Opponent does not get priority, which makes me think they are on goblins, not mono red burn. But they might be on either. Here we want this land, we want this land, we don't want this land. We have already enough to play our High Alert, and so we do not want any more lands. Thank you very much. And we shall play our Saheeli Caretaker, so that next turn we can start beating them for 7, which is pretty sexy. 7, which becomes unblockable in short order. Opponent is on the goblins, as expected. I think we have a pretty great matchup here, especially when our opponent has not hit an early Muxus. Now, the question this turn is, do we resolve the Wall of Blossoms and the Tetsuko Umezawa, or do we play the High Alert? Because we essentially have 2 different options we could go with here. We could go for the option that applies some damage, or we could go for the option that develops our board. I think in the face of goblins, we definitely want to start hitting their face. We want to pressure them down. So we're going to do High Alert, which I think puts them on a faster clock here. Because let me do the math, actually. So doing this turn does 7. And then next turn, we have a guaranteed 7 again, which puts them at 6. And then they die the following turn. That's pretty good. If I did it the other way, so Goblin Matron. Opponent gets to tutor for a goblin here, so this could be a little scary for us. We have them dead in 2 turns. There is the Muxus. But I don't see a way for them to play the Muxus immediately. If they have a Skirk Prospector in hand, they can play the Muxus next turn, which is going to be devastating for us. Muxus essentially reads, spin the wheel, you know, spin the casino wheel, see where it lands. Around and around it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. All right. We might draw Tower Defense here, which would immediately win the game. So let's see if we do. Big money. Whoop! No big money. Small money. Strictly small money. So now we just play the Tetsuko Umezawa. Opponent cannot chump block, and they are now dead if Muxus does not win the game. They could also remove Tetsuko Umezawa, but it's unlikely. If you all haven't... Oh, wow, they are going to kill her. Okay. Okay, they are main decking the Gem Palm Incinerator, probably to deal with Mayhem Devils, which, fair. Fair, I understand. No Skirk Prospector is pretty nice. They do have the Muxus next turn, which is frightening. But we get to eat a lot of their guys here, which isn't terrible. So we're basically just swinging all. Opponent forced to chump block basically all three. They could let one through if they're feeling brave. They probably... It literally doesn't matter which one they kill. So just any of them are good. All right. Yep, triple chump block seems legitimate. And the opponent is basically praying that Muxus high rolls the insta-kill. Now, what we have up our sleeve here is we have a Ceruli Caretaker, but then we also... High Alert can untap one of our creatures. So we're going to shock this in to have up the untap. So if we really need two blockers to not die, we can do it. Opponent gonna play Muxus here and spin the wheel! Don't die! Whatever you do, don't kill me. Come on. Come on, small money. Small money.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
All right. We're not dead, which isn't nothing. The question now is how much do they attack with? Oh, we might actually still be dead because they have Skirk Prospector. Maybe they could like sack Prospector, sack Instigator, play another Instigator. That doesn't really do anything though. That doesn't matter. Oh, Conspicuous Snoop. Oh, looking for a Kranko. Okay, okay. Do they get it? They don't get the Kranko. All right. So now the question is, what do they attack with? Nothing. All right, come on. Tetsuko Umezawa off the top. Come on, one time. One time. Oh, Assault Formation. Okay. You know, it's not what we wanted, but it might be decent. So this lets us pump the toughness of the squad. Part of the trouble here is we're not making any progress in this case. What we can do is we can attack with one, and if they don't block, we can kill them with Assault Formation. This one's pretty tough, actually. This one's pretty tough. The play here might be attack with two to force the chump block, because with Assault Formation, if they block with the Muxus, we get to eat it, which is pretty good. Yeah, I think we're attacking with two here. And offering to trade with their Muxus. They have to block one. Okay, they will trade with the Muxus. Okay, fair. The question is, do they have another Muxus? They're drawing a mountain, and we know they have the Instigator in hand. This is actually becoming a pretty spicy game, all things told. All right. Opponent on one. Your move. Your move, Yuki boy. Don't do another Muxus. Come on. Come on. Have a heart. All right. I may also just be dead from hand here. It's a very legitimate possibility. All right, Snoop. Don't think that's dead. Don't think that's dead. Those little numbers on screen don't seem to add up to 16 to me, to my eyes. But I haven't done the math. All right, no goblins. No goblins crashing in. So come on, Tetsuko Umezawa. Okay, that's not a bad one at all. We forced 3 chump blocks here, which is pretty nice. They're drawing Mountain. They didn't have anything last turn that mattered. So I think we just get to crash in here and eat 3 of their goblins, which is pretty great. And then we can untap one on the defense if we need to. and pretty easy. All right, block, block. Oh, we can't untap one on defense, actually, because we have to commit to this assault formation. That's a pity. Or we don't have to commit to assault formation if they block like that. Okay, now we do. Now we do. Am I fine? I don't think I'm fine with losing my goon. So I think we have to commit to the assault formation here. Bump up this Ceruli Caretaker so that it eats the goblin without trading with it. And now opponent is on not 0 outs by any means. They basically get 2 draw. Well, no, they get 1 draw because they're going to draw this useless. And okay, so they're going to have 2, 4, 10, 14, considering the Castle Embereth. So if they have any goblins in hand, we're dead. But we really don't have too many choices right there. Got to play to win here. If they had the goblin in hand, we're basically dead anyway. All right, opponent, what do you got? What do you got? Are we dead? Survey says we're not dead. Delightful. All right. Oh, it's your girl.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Ooh, and just like that. Oh, wait for the concede. Tetsuko Mizawa looking at him like, pardon? Your move, goblins. Your move. What? You thought you were going to block my walls? Oh, I thought you were going to block my walls. Oh no, you're going to concede? That's so simple. It's so simple. All right. Wonderful day. All right, now let's jam one more before calling it a stream. Assuming the next one isn't super quick. It might be super quick. As you can see, these walls don't muck around. We are an aggro deck. We're an aggro deck that uses creatures that can't attack. Riddle me this, Batman. Riddle me this. All right. This hand is pretty sexy. We don't have our payoff, but we do have mana acceleration, which is super hot. Plus, these 2 cards both draw cards, so they can trip. This hand is basically the dream. This hand would only be better if it had a Ceruli Caretaker instead of this Wall of Runes, which, you know, so it goes. Maybe the Scry one is going to be a business. Ooh, do we need more mana? We actually don't need more mana. So this is where I think someone might stumble. So you may be fooled into thinking, oh my god, another mana-generating defender. That's delightful. But this deck actually doesn't have that many mana outlets for this. We're basically going to play these 2 cards. These 2 cantripping cards, and then that'll be it. And if this deck doesn't have its payoff in hand, we bottom any card that is not the payoff, right? We bottom any card, and there's the payoff, all right? So we got our Arcades. We can turn on our walls, start bashing. So I started bashing. All right, and we're definitely going to play the one which generates mana because we want that mana next turn to accelerate us. So next turn, we're going to be able to go Wall of Blossoms, Carven, Caryatid, which is going to be delightful. We can even do it without shocking ourselves, which is pretty nice against an aggressive mono green deck. Opponent missing a land there? No, we went first, so opponent just missing a creature there, which is fine by us. No Barkhide Troll for them. We don't need to shock here. Let me think for a second. We shock. We play the Carven Caryatid. We then play another Carven Caryatid, so essentially lets us play the Caryatid instead of the Wall of Blossoms. Does that matter? I don't think it matters. But I'm going to do it anyway. I should say it matters, but I don't think whether we win or lose this game will be dependent upon doing one line or the other. But, you know, having Carven Caryatid versus Wall of Blossoms in play is largely one or the other, right? So next turn, we kind of get to try and punk them out of this game. So next turn, we're going to get to go Arcades the Strategist, attack with everything except our Overgrown Battlement. And if they don't block, they're just dead. They're just thoroughly murdered. To this tower defense. So I think opponent's about to just get punked out next turn almost 100% of the time. Even if they chump block next turn, they probably have lost. You're seeing here the power of this deck's linear game plan. We just flop so much power and toughness on the board. Like we played a 1-mana 4/4. We played another 1-mana 4/4. And we have a 2-mana card that says all your units get +5/+5. Like that is just backbreaking. Like opponent has no idea. They're sitting over there with their pumped up kicks and they have no idea that the reckoning has arrived. Arcades, the strategist, looking out from his bastion. And 1, 2, a diddle-a-diddle-a-do. So we're going to attack, and this We're keeping back so we can tap it for the tower defense. And opponent, what do you possibly do? You're putting our opponent in an impossible situation here. They might chump block one of the Caryatids, in which case we probably don't commit the tower defense and just play the Wall of Blossoms. Oh, opponent, no blocks. No blocks? You're telling me you're not gonna block these walls? You're telling me you don't know what's coming your way, opponent? Come on. Come on, you know better than that. You know better than that. Woo! Princess number 1 in the house. All right. So having, won a very tense, strategic game of Magic the Gathering. I mean, that was peak MTG right there. That's why you play the game. It's for those kinds of contests of wit. Like, you're not going to get that in Hearthstone. You're not going to get a game that's over on turn 3 to 27 power worth of walls. Crash it in like a tidal wave. All right, so what do we got here? Here we have only green mana, no blue. I don't like that. Our payoff and our 1-drop require blue. So not having blue here is a pretty big detriment to this hand. I think this hand is unplayable. It has no 1, it has no 2, which is pretty sad. I mean, it has the Watchdog, but I want like a Wall of Blossoms. I want something. Something better than this. Opponent giving us no real clues to what they're playing here. Just the City of Brass, which taps for 1 to add any color of mana. I think it's a pain land. Burns you for 1. Something like that. It's a commander card mostly. Oh, Party Pat, what are you doing, man? What are you on? Tell me your secrets. Ask me your questions. You don't know how lovely you are. All right, we're going to keep this and we're going to bottom the Sunpetal Grove. Because with this hand, this is another punk win where we're looking to kill them on turn 4, most likely. What we're going to do here is we're going to shock in our Temple Garden and play our Cerulea Caretaker, who's really going to take care of our opponent here. She's really going to make him feel welcome. But yeah, we're going to go Cerulea Caretaker, Sunpetal Grove, Wall of Blossoms, and then next turn we can use the Cerulea Caretaker to tap for blue to play our high defense, which sets up for the tower defense kill. Soulscar Mage is a little spicy here. You don't like to see the Soulscar Mage by any stretch of the imagination. All right. Hinterland Harbor, and we get to play the Wall of Blossoms. So opponent on mono red aggro, almost certainly, which I think we're pretty good against. All of our units survive their bolt minus the Caretaker. So maybe it's unlucky to have the Caretaker. I don't know. I think we're still feeling pretty lucky. Opponent attacking with the Soulscar Mage. So I'm going to block here because what the opponent may have is like a lightning bolt. So the worst case scenario here is I block and they do what? They say lightning bolt your Caretaker? That doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm going to block to turn off their Light Up the Stage. Light Up the Stage is a card which requires them to hit me to deal damage to me, and thus we're just going to do this. Like, maybe they have a pump spell, but I'm fine trading Wall of Blossoms for something. Like, Wall of Blossoms drew a card. So we will see what opponent has up their sleeve. I just really don't want to let them hit me and cast Light Up the Stage for 1 mana if they have dealt combat damage to me. That would be so sad. It would be tragic. All right, opponent really deep in the tank. Really consulting the bones. All right, opponent lets the damage goes through. Nothing. All right. Glad we called their bluff and blocked. So here we just give them the business, right? Like we just say, my man, listen. I'm watching you. I'm on high alert. Stay right where you are. Don't you make a goddamn move. All right. Oh, sorry, language. Don't you make a flibber snap and move. A hibbity-gibbidin twitch. Opponent, okay, so opponent takes 7. Love to see it. You can really tell who the monocolored aggressive deck is in this matchup, right? Like, look at these life totals. It's so obvious, isn't it? Which one is aggressive? We're gonna build a wall and make mono red pay for it. And as you can see, I knew what they were up to. They had that Light Up the Stage, and this turn, with no blockers, they were able to hit me and play their Light Up the Stage. But things are looking pretty grim for opponent over there. They definitely need to use the Skewer the Critics to kill my Cerulea Caretaker. They need to start getting my my critters off the board. They may also want to use it on the Wall of Blossoms because they have Soul Scar Mage, and they could scar the Wall of Blossoms. I think this is a pretty crucial error in judgment by my opponent, particularly because they also may not block here. So it's just going to be a complete disaster for them if they don't block. Which they didn't. Which, let it be known,
What can I say? Except
they didn't.
You're welcome.
Power overwhelming! Opponent, why didn't you bolt the wall? What were you thinking? Did opponent think that the wall deck couldn't burst them down? Did the wall? Oh, they thought they were beyond my grasp? What a fool. What a fool. I will take your ranked points with a smile. I mean, this is Magic the Gathering as Richard Garfield intended it. Elder Gargaroth here approves. He knows what's what. We'll play one more because this deck is making me, it's doing me proud. For sure. For sure, and 7 years ago, my boys put forth a more gangsta nation where walls ran amok. All right, pop this back on. La 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 la. And we wait. It can no longer find anyone brave enough to face us. Not after the annihilation we have leveled on our opponents. All right. This hand is pretty unplayable. This one we definitely cannot do, I don't think. It's closer than it appears insofar as an untapped source of white mana, like a Temple Gardens, makes this hand absurdly good. Like maybe if we're going second, we can keep this. Probably not even then, though. Opponent giving us any clues? No clues as to their deck choice, but they are an epileptic horse, which we should keep in mind. Oh, all right. Yeah, no, I don't think we can keep this. Just having untapped mana sources here with no accelerants is pretty bad, even though we have our payoff and we have a couple walls. No can do. Oh my gosh. Guys, are we playing poker? Full house in the house. So this hand accelerates a lot with its mana, and we may have to keep it because going to 5 with this deck is pretty bad. This deck is... Oh, this hand is just so bad. This hand is so terrible. Like, this is the game where we never draw one of our payoffs that turns our walls into attackers. We just die. Die, like, flopping about like a fish on the floor. While our opponent wonders what in the world we're doing. I think we keep this hand. I also think this hand is very bad. How much better can we do? We can do better. All right, we have to keep this. We have the payoff. We have a 1-drop. We don't need 2 payoffs. And we don't need this. Yeah. All right. All right, Chief. 5 cards in a dream. 5 cards. And the hope in our hearts. And the friendship we've known. Knight of the Ebon Legion. Mono black aggro, potentially. Don't mind me. I'm just playing dogs. Woof woof. I'm just playing dogs, opponent. Don't hurt me. Don't. Oh no, opponent! Opponent, we had 2 cards! You can't let us keep them! We mulligan twice and you take what little we have left. No. No. Opponent, why? All right. Well, this is how it starts. So we draw the untapped land. We play the High Alert. Our opponent thinks we're just memeing right now. Opponent's like, what in the world? What is this man doing? But now we draw the Tower Defense, and we win? Oh, dear. Yeah, now we draw the Tower Defense, and we just win. That's the plan, anyway. Our deck did not get the memo, though. We do get to attack here. Do they block? Ah, wise opponent. They know to fear the Tower Defense. I'm going to hold this land in my hand. I get punished if they make us discard and then we draw Arcades. Or Arcades. But, okay, Timurit. Deal. Ooh, we can't attack through the Timurit, which is a bit of a problem. Got a bones! Yeah, we can't attack through Timurit, which is going to be problematic. Knight of the Ebon Legion has also got us dead next turn, which is pretty brutal. So we have 1 turn to draw tower defense, and even if we draw it, they're just going to block, so it doesn't matter. I'll take those odds. Didn't quite get there, did we? Didn't quite. Well, let's make them have it, right? Let's not give them the freebie. Let's make them have it. Make them scared. Sweating their boots. Come on, opponent. What you got? Baby, I got it. What you need. Okay, opponent lets us live another turn. Not that it matters, though. We're still very dead. I think we still have 0 outs in this situation. Yeah, that's not going to do it. That ain't going to do it, Chief. Oh, Presidente, that ain't going to get us out of this one. Not by any stretch. Sad day. We did a pretty blessed stretch, though. I think even if the opponent didn't force us to get rid of one of our last 2 cards, we still lose that game. Going down to 5 was a little too brutal, but our deck almost did something. Almost. One of those dogs had been a Wall of Blossoms. It may have been a different game. Very slightly different. We're up against Thrak! Dwayne Thrak Johnson. All right, here, this hand is very bad. We have 2 copies of our payoff. I mean, let me take a look at their deck here. They got the Lurrus. Oh my gosh, please don't be blue-white enchantments again. Blue-white enchantments would be so sad. I don't know if red-black Pyromancer or red-black Arcanist is much better, but this hand probably doesn't kick it. Like, this hand... Like, here's how this hand would play out. I go Breeding Pool. Go. Opponent plays a land. Plays, like, I don't know, some sad, sorry, 1-drop. They pass back. I play Tetsuko Umezawa. Opponent claims and murders her, or plays Arcanist, says go. I hit them for 1 with Tetsuko Umezawa. I play the Carven Caryatid. Opponent removes the Caryatid and just beats me into the flipping ground. What I'm saying is it's not good enough. Deal. Deal. Don't need 2 Tetsukos. Okay. Breeding Pool. See, the best thing about playing Breeding Pool tapped on 1 is it makes our opponent think we're playing a real deck. They're like, Sultai! No! Zounds! We have been foiled! Then they cast Thoughtseize and immediately realize we are not playing a real deck. They took the Tetsuka? What? What? They picked so fast. I was expecting opponent when they saw our hand to like sit back and be like, wait a gosh darn second. What is this person up to? But no, they just snap off the Tetsuko. They just no hesitation. Goddamn, respect for the opponent. Respect. All right, let's just play our Wall of Blossoms. Possible I'm supposed to play Overgrown Battlement there for the mana acceleration, but I really just want to see more cards. There's Arcanist. Yeah, things look pretty grim for our heroes. So we do get to play this. It probably was better to play this Overgrown Battlement last turn because... Let's think about it. Let's assume last turn I'd played Battlement. And like, this is the part where we need to draw into one of our payoffs or we just die flopping like a fish on the floor. Just die like a dog. But, like the dogs. But let me think. So last turn, had I played Overgrown Battlement, this turn, I would have gone up to 3 mana. I would have played the Caryatid. I would have tapped this and played the Wall of Blossoms. So I essentially would have had the same board, no dog, but I would have had the Caryatid. That's a slight improvement, right? Sure. Yeah, so this is one of the combos that makes this deck probably one of the top 3 in the format. Is that you get to go Thoughtseize turn 1, Arcanist turn 2, turn 3, attack, repeat. Oh my gosh, yipes. Okay, opponent just taking every card out of our hand. We don't really get to play this game. Tower defense isn't gonna do it. I'm sad to say. Tower defense is not what the doctor ordered. Yeah, you got it. You got it. I think the opponent basically just has to show us one more competent card here, and we scoop. We're just about done here. We can't even really punk them out of the game. Not really. Although opponent has somehow managed to hurt themselves for 6 damage, which is helpful to our cause. Like, we need to go, what? Assault formation. Sure, you got it. Assault formation. Opponent doesn't block when we swing everything in tower defense. It's basically the only way we win this game. Not unfeasible. It's possible the opponent's not familiar with our deck. We're going to hold on to this so that when they replay the Kroxa, we have a card to throw away. It's not really a reason to play it out. And we wait. We're not under pressure, which is nice. Opponent giving us ample time. Opponent saying, no, please. I would like you to play first, opponent, please. All right, Village Rites. Oh, man, are they going to go Village Rites, Lurrus, Archfiend's Vessel? That's pretty savage. Yeah, there's opponent ending our whole career here. If we don't draw the... Wipes. If we don't draw the Assault formation, probably just to scoop this one. I guess technically we could draw any of our payoffs. So if we draw any, except Arcades, we have like 5 outs here. Well, let's see it. Nah. Nah, not quite. Let's see what the top card of our deck is. If it inspires me to stick it out. No. Yeah, I think we're pretty dead. Like, we still technically have the out of them not being able to kill us, and then we draw the payoff, and we tower defense for the cheeky win, but I don't suspect that was in the cards. Yeah, so there we run into the top dog. There, the top deck just spanks us. Like, what the hell do you think you're doing? Playing your little walls. Playing your little games. Let me show you how a real deck plays. Let me show you the business. And business hours were observed. It was pretty brutal. Party Pat, 95. Do you think Party Pat is playing a fun deck or is playing a meta deck? Because I could go either way with a name like Party Pat. This hand is actually decent. Opponent goes first, which I don't like. But even though this hand doesn't have a play on 1, which you usually want with this deck, it's good enough. You, pardon. You may think it's a little weird that I kept this hand when I mulled away other hands which didn't have all 3 colors or didn't have an aggressive play on 1. But I think Overgrown Battlement on 2 is fine against most decks. Mono red might be one, though, that can just run us down here. That might be a genuine problem. Really wish we were able to resolve the Resolute Watchdog turn 1. Would be quite nice if this was untapped. One of the big problems this deck has is the mana base, where it's pretty inconsistent in terms of having untapped sources on curve, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Temple Garden. Oh, look at you limping into class, like Temple Garden sliding into the back of the bio classroom. But you know the teacher sees them. The teacher gonna talk to Temple Garden after class. It's gonna say Temple. Come on, man. I know times have been tough. I know that you're a really bright individual, but you just gotta make it to class on time. I know we don't do anything in the first 5 minutes of class. I mostly just gab about, Florida State football, but I'd really like you to show me a little bit more respect. Is exactly how my biology classes went. Yikes. Big punish. Very possible I'm not supposed to block there for fear of that happening, of trading my Battlement for the shock. I've got enough to do that I don't think it ends up mattering quite that much. Because here we get to go Wall of Blossoms into the Resolute Watchdog. And what I'm going to do this game, which might be a little non-intuitive, is I'm going to play Arcades on turn 5 because I want to have 1 mana up to use the Watchdog sacrifice ability to give Arcades indestructible. I don't want the opponent to be able to kill him. Although, so long as the opponent, has the Soul Scarred Mage, I guess their burn spells kill through indestructible, which is a problem, which is certainly Not what you like to see. Here, I think I'm happier throwing away the Wall of Blossoms than the dog, so we're obviously blocking. Don't want our opponent to light up any stages. They may anyway. They might play light up the stage here for free. Oh, they don't. They don't want to admit defeat. So here, do we have sexy alternatives to playing Arcades the Strategist? Because I really do want to protect him with Indestructible. Again, I guess the Soul Scarred Mage means it's not likely to matter. Not likely at all. In which case, perhaps I just develop the Arcades this turn. Yeah, that seems to be the reasonable thing. This card is just so phenomenal. Love this card so much. My little Vivid Dragon. Soaring and settling in his roost. Oh, look at those majestic feathers. Look at his scarf. We're united by the scarf. Brethren of the scarf. It is how we do. He's so vigilant. Get you one that's vigilant, ladies. Well, I guess not in certain senses. in looking out for you, yes. All right. There's one. Do you have another burn spell? Ow. Do you have another burn spell? Light up the stage. Shock. Skewer the critics. All right. Double skewer. All right, Arcades is dead, which is a problem because we now have no way to turn our walls into attackers, which is very... Oh no. Oh no, we're going full fish, ladies and gentlemen. Never go full fish. Never flop. Maybe I'm supposed to play Tetsuko Mizawa there so I can start hitting my opponent for one? Like a chump? Oh, they bailed! They don't know! They don't know we got stone cold, nothing in hand. Oh man, opponent's just out of there. They never even see the Umezawa. They never even see the Tetsuko. Ah, job well done. I consider that a roaring success. All right. So my job here is done for the most part. This isn't my job, actually. Don't worry, this isn't my job. If it were my job, I would starve. But it was very fun. I had a good time playing some Magic again. I might actually play a lot more Magic. Magic is a good game, and we're about to have a big expansion, which is pretty hype. Apologies to my Vermintide viewers who probably aren't that interested in Magic, but I hope you learned something. I tried to be a little more instructional than I was funny. Hopefully both came across. Hopefully this video is a little more palatable. But all right, take care, everybody. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, think kindly, etc., etc. Love you guys. Take care.